Welcome. This is Astrology Insight Now, a weekly forecast program with astrology and other ways to help you make the most of your week and to heighten confidence for daily life. It's run by Pamela Cuccinell, that's me, the astrologer, and I invite you to find out more about my work at insightoasis.com. I look forward to your joining us every week. Please share with your friends, and here we go. If you were experiencing some kind of brittle, fraught energy this weekend, there was a lot of, what I would call electrical energy and changeability and switching, going one direction and then the other direction. And depending on your makeup, energetically, that can feel very exciting or it can feel very depleting. And actually, I think that even for those of us who do tend to run a little more wired or energetic, because of the nature of the configurations, there can be a sudden stop that can happen, like buzzing along and then detour, things aren't going as planned, and it can be frustrating or heavy. And that is leaving energetically what is happening, that as of 3:42 a.m., the morning of the 13th Eastern time, we pass through that very buzzy stop and start energy that some of us may have really experienced this weekend. The moon goes void, of course, at that time, and then it enters the sign of Pisces at 4:55 a.m. If you're in the Eastern time zone, you may well be sleeping during that void, of course. Generally, we say that when the moon's void, of course, you don't want to start anything new. It's best to work on projects already in motion, recharge, which is good if you're getting nice deep sleep, and clear things out so that you can get a fresh start when the moon goes into the next sign. Now, once the moon enters Pisces, this is really lovely, juicy, creative, fertile energy for a couple of days. It's just sublime. We want to remember it is the waning moon cycle, so you may not feel the impetus to start something new, but you can feel a lot of energy, focus, as I said, creativity for something that you're already working on, finishing up, already in motion. So it's just really a delicious couple of days for people who like to stir the pot and come up with things that are inspirational and exciting, and really start all that lovely sense of, and then I want to go here and look at that and let's go here. So it's delightful. If you like to go on a meditative retreat, that can be wonderful. Dance camp, super, or just dance. Moon in Pisces loves things that are cultural, things that are expansive, the ways that enrich our lives with beauty and art and symphony of movement, harmony, grace, just really sweet energy over these couple of days. And we need it. It's like we need this hydration, this affirmation of Renaissance energy that just keeps flowing and continues in spite of what seems to be a absolute dryness of spirit, or a sense that we have to tap things down and close things up and quiet a spark that wants to be different or challenge or question or flower. And these couple of days are wonderful reminders that not only do we want new things to flower, grow, and flourish, it's what keeps us alive. So find a place, people, situation, nature, museums, art, music, the things that give you a sense of continuation, hope, joy, and absolute wonder in the world. The moon goes void, of course, at 6:07 a.m. on Wednesday, the 15th, which is when we leave that lovely arc of joy, wonder, and creativity. But it enters the sign of Aries at 10:04 a.m. And once it does that, we are moving with decisiveness towards the new moon in Aries that happens in a couple of days. And so this is a terrific couple of days to finish things up, complete stories you want to put to rest. Be decisive. Be, in a way, ruthless. Aries is about cutting through the muck. Aries is directed. It's a fire sign. It wants to start. It does not want to stagnate. So this is, I was talking to a dear friend of mine last week, and they are moving. And his wife, for a couple of years, was, oh, I don't know if I want to leave the area, da, 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 da. And it's a big deal to leave a place where you've been for such a length of time. And he said, she's on a tear now. She is absolutely ferocious. She is going through things with tremendous strength, decisiveness. And I said, you better get home if there's something you want to say. And it's that kind of energy that comes in burning with with a lot of passion and a sense of it's time now. The interesting thing about these couple of days is if there's been hesitation, stagnancy, wanting to hold on, not feeling as though you can move forward yet, this is when it's as though the big piece of ice that was holding on the mountain just sluices down, and you better get out of the way because it's strong, it's forceful, and it wants to go in a new direction. Now, that being said, this is the dark of moon period. And so we also want to go within. We want to reflect. We want to measure. We want to pace ourselves. And yet we may be fighting, especially those of us who are more fiery or air signs, we may be fighting this momentum that says, go move now. So notice on Wednesday, the 15th, because remember, a lot of planets are in the sign of Aries now. At this point, I'm talking about the moon, which of course is not a planet, but it is a heavenly body that we refer to. And as I've said before, the ancient Greeks, the word planet meant wanderer. So it's not the astronomical term I'm using, it's the symbolic term. So the moon is in Aries, Mercury is in Aries, Neptune is in Aries, Mars is in Aries, and Saturn is in Aries. And throughout this day, the moon is in dialogue, dancing with all those planets. So she's basically saying, okay, how do I get that message across in a very electric, immediate way? That's late morning. What is it I creatively and spiritually feel I must do now to bloom and make happen what I feel is so important and must be done? I can't necessarily articulate it, but I feel it. It's like a river that's moving rapidly through me. And action is very strong, and it just builds as we get to the early evening. And it's it's really important. I remember that old television character, Mr. T, pity the fool who gets in my way. That's the way this can feel, that it's just, I've got to move this and it's got to happen and you don't understand me. But really, it is so important to pull yourself back and gaze, look. If somebody's questioning your actions, including yourself, give yourself a moment to assess, do I really want to throw out all those old journeys? And maybe you do. Maybe you've been thinking about it for years, but do it in a way that feels measured and conscious. Consciousness is super important over these couple of days because impulsiveness may be pushing some of us. And we want to make sure we are the leader. We are the captain at the helm, that we know why we're going in the direction we're going. We're not getting pushed by someone else's story. We're very clear about why we need to go the way we're going, and we're looking at everything in front of us to make sure we are moving in a safe and measured and conscious way. Thursday, the 16th, we are still being pushed by this sense of I am moving in a direction of going forward. And therefore, what must I get rid of to lighten my load? That's what this is really about. It's about how do you strip down to more of the essentials that are what is going to propel you into what it is you want to move forward and do. And oftentimes, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, oftentimes we're held in place by memories, loyalties, senses of how we should do things, the way we want to do things. And as I said, these things aren't necessarily bad, but we have to look at, are we stopping ourselves from maximizing the time we have? Because the span of our lifetimes is, whether it's short or long, a human life still may not feel as though everything that could have been achieved was achieved. And what's valuable when we have a couple of days like these days is going with the momentum that says, I am ready to take action. But in order to take action, I need to put things in place so that the platform is clear. I mean, you don't want to picture a big old sailing boat. It's very important to tie the ropes up in place. You don't have things lying around because when you have to move quickly to follow the wind or change direction, you want a clear deck. And so that's what these couple of days are really allowing us to do with a lot of clarity as to what needs to clean out so that we can move forward. And attachments or ways that we felt it should be done may not be as compelling as they have been in the past, especially when you clear Wednesday. That's when maybe addressing and weighing and looking at, can I really do it this way? Are things really in place? Can I afford to have that go? Is it time to just accept where I'm at? It's good enough as it is. It's perfect just as it is. Those are things that we can move through on Wednesday. So Thursday, the action becomes very strong. The hard part is on Thursday, in the early part of the day, we want to we really want to understand what we're prioritizing. If we've got too many things on our list or too much stuff going on, we may not be able to move in the direction that we want to move. And so it's important that we make choices and decide what the priorities are. And if we can get to the other stuff, which we may well be able to, because there's a picture in the sky between Mars and Pluto, a harmonious sextile. And so that can really like boom, plow into something that we want to launch or make happen. But remember, the launching part is best served once we pass the new moon. And that new moon happens at 7:52 a.m. on Friday the 17th. It is at 27 degrees Aries, 29 minutes. And the new moon, it has a really, oh goodness, it has a, what would I call it? I'd almost call it, I want to call it clean. I want to call it fresh, like unburdened. And it can be all those things, very unburdened with old business, old stories, especially if we've done the work the couple of days before and even early. If you've really prepared yourself for this sense of going forward without being entangled or slowed down by things that really don't belong in what it is you're trying to get across and do at this point in time, then you can go into this next lunar cycle with a great lightness of being, great sense of, I am ready to move forward, unencumbered. No one is stopping me, getting in my way. I am able and ready to make things happen in the way I want them to happen, the way I know they're bound to happen. And this is how it's going to unfold. I don't know if you can hear it. I've got my recording things going on, but somebody is putting off firecrackers on the outside of my house. So I'm hearing this boom, 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 boom as I'm talking about this Aries new moon, which actually in a way is absolutely perfect. It's just shooting right out of the cannon and just going in the direction in which you want it to go. So the moon goes void, of course, right after it hits this new point. And then it's void for a few hours. it goes into the next sign, Taurus, at almost noon, 11:58 a.m. And this leads us into a really powerful weekend of realizing and making tangible those things that you want to build on. So I really love this particular new moon. I mean, I say that periodically now and again. I tend to be very lunar centric. Not everybody is. Those of us who really put a lot of emphasis on lunar cycles, you can have a very strong placement of the moon. Your moon may be a water sign. You may have a lot of the sign of Cancer in your horoscope. Uh, the moon may be on an angle, but I am aware that even if you're not that focused on the sways and moods of how things are going energetically with the tides of people's opinions or what the focus may be with what's going on in your community. If you're not really affected by emotional weather, an awareness of it still can help. Because if you personally don't feel a lot of that kind of ebb and flow and emotional waves or affected by other people's moods, and awareness of other people's moods, especially things like how the public is receiving something. If you're in sales or any kind of business or something that it behooves you to know how people are going to take a message, it's very useful to know the pattern of the moon. So these days after the new moon, with the moon in the sign of Taurus, and the moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus, it's very comfortable when it's in Taurus. However, let's not forget that Pluto is in early degrees Aquarius right now, which is a fixed sign, so as is Taurus. So that means geometrically, at some point, that moon is going to be in hard aspect to Pluto. So when that happens, there can be a real power struggle, push, pull. I mean, one of the pictures I get when I look at this, it happens in the early evening, is two friends fighting over who pays the check. I mean, that's just kind of a silly example, but it it shows this. It can be something about where the money is spent, who asserts themselves in certain situations. It's basically it's a transit. It's the moon, so it's moving quickly, but it can show, especially for someone who's born with a moon Pluto uh, configuration, it can show something comes up that could be from the past or a pattern or reminiscent of something that's a shadow energy where one feels, why is someone trying to take my power or asserting themselves on me in a way that feels invasive? And it's just something to note. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It all depends how much the person has worked with this, if this is something innately that's a historic thing that a person may have to deal with based on their natal chart. But always, as I've said many times, being conscious of what's coming up and not reactive is the best way to handle it. Once that passes, after we get to, well, that's kind of 8:46 p.m. Eastern time. Once that passes, then we're in a nice groove, very nice groove. Moon in Taurus wants to be cozy, wants to be eating lovely things, surrounded by things that are beautiful to look at. So a very cozy, comfortable evening can be spent. And Saturday, the 18th, just very enriching, delicious day for just finding ways to spark the things that make you want to move into new ideas and potential wealth, making more money. Great time to be having conversations or launching ideas that you've been trying to get off the ground. And that feeds into Sunday the 19th. Once we pass the noontime, so the moon goes void, of course, at 11:45 a.m. and the moon enters Gemini at 12:18 p.m. So the morning also very delicious and good for getting those ideas off the ground. And then once the moon is in the sign of Gemini, we're still in nice energy for beginning things, starting things, sharing ideas. Overall, this is a lovely weekend for enriching oneself with inspiration and communication, sharing ideas, letting things cook. Super, super weekend for all of that, fueled by the Aries momentum of new beginnings. You have been listening to Astrology Insight Now. Please share with your friends, and if you'd like to make a donation, you can do so at astrologyinsightnow.com. Have a stellar week, and we hope to see you next time.